right, we're back. It's whatchamacallit? This is part 2. We like to call this the Burning Thoughts portion of the Green Teamers podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, disclaimer, we are high as shit right now. So if you are interested in figuring out what we were smoking on, we didn't tell you. But just check out the first part of the Green Teamers podcast and you will see how we got to this point. I'm sitting here trying to come up with thoughts in my mind. We're on an indica high right now, a heavy indica high, and it's going to continue. And on top of that, we got dab rigs. We got
the works.
We got the works coming for you, baby. Shit. But fuck.
So let me help Marvin out here a little bit, because it sounds like he's struggling, but well, I'll get him going. What we're gonna do here is, as always, we talk about just random thoughts that come to our mind. As you can tell, sometimes they take a little bit to process. But we get there.
Shit.
So we're going to start off with taking some dabs off of the Peak Pro. We're going to smoke a joint, tell you guys about the strain of the day and exactly what it is, the effects that we feel and the taste, all that good stuff. And then we just talk about random topics. Like I said, whatever comes to mind.
Do you think we're going to plateau at some point, or do you think it's just going to...
I think from the past 2 weeks, the Peak Pro has definitely...
That's what I'm saying.
...done a little damage, so I think we're gonna get a little bit higher before we plateau. But I do see us plateauing at one point, and then, like I said, the thoughts are actually gonna stop coming.
Did you end up taking an afternoon nap last time?
I didn't. I'm assuming you might have.
I think I did. Yeah, I did knock out for a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that shit really does knock. If you're not used to it too, that's the thing. I'm still getting accustomed to it, but I do enjoy smoking it.
No, it's definitely, like I said, it's my go-to at this point, at least during the winter, because the winters be brutal, man. The winters be brutal.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, let's get into what we're going to dab on today. As always, shout out to Rugged Roots, always providing us with great concentrates, great quality concentrates for a great price. So shout out the medical program up in Maine.
Because fuck Massachusetts.
We got Fruity Pebble today.
Ooh.
So Marvin, if you want to take a look, we got Fruity Pebble, and the past 2 weeks we've smoked on a caviar and then a wax.
Now they call it Fruity Pebble. Why?
I couldn't tell you. I'm assuming it's just from the lineage. Unfortunately, I don't have that information. Just be careful, because it is all crumbly, so it'll fall out of the wax paper.
Absolutely.
But today we're smoking on a shatter, so I'll have a picture of that up for you guys. Shatter is a little bit more of a glass consistency compared to that caviar.
It's more
brittle.
I was gonna say in color, it looks a lot more golden than amber. The last one you had, it was like amber in color.
Gotcha.
It was like raw honey.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I definitely... The shatter tends to either be very yellow,
right,
almost to an orange, and then it'll get very clear to like a whitish yellow.
I feel that. All right.
So I think it comes down to what the strain is and what kind of bud it is.
Do they hit you different, shatter and...
I don't think so. I definitely get the same level of high.
If they don't hit you the same, then why make them? Aren't they the same sort of material? Why make them different?
Maybe it comes down to preference, but to your point there, actually, the shatter usually goes for about $20 to $25, whereas, like I mentioned last week, the wax and the caviar tend to go for $30 to $40.
Okay.
So you're actually, like I said, I'm still new to the concentrate world, so we might have to do a little bit of research on that. But to your point, it's the exact same, but like if we used Fruity Pebble nugs and made shatter in one sense and then wax in another, why are we charging two different prices? Right. So we might actually have to do a little bit of our own research, because that's a good point.
Yeah, I feel that one.
But with that being said, let's get right into the concentrate, guys. We got it on the red setting, and as I mentioned last week, the colors determine how high the temperature actually gets to. So
last week that shit was sitting at pink, so you're telling me that...
essentially what I'm saying is it takes more for the shatter to melt in here, so I use a higher temperature. And those colors dictate what temperature that is.
Okay.
So
it's not because you're smoking on some real like fire shit. So it's got to be red.
Yeah, unfortunately the Peak won't tell you the quality of your concentrate. But we get 2 clicks to get it going. When it vibrates again, Marvin, go for it.
And you
just make sure to level it.
Okay, that's
level. Keep it level.
Why is that so key?
Because there are little holes in the atomizer, which is the little bowl piece. There are holes that let the smoke travel.
Okay.
So if you pull too hard, or if you have it leaning to one way or the other, the concentrate will leak into those holes, and it'll go like into the base in your battery.
It'll fuck it up.
Yeah, exactly. So you just want to keep it leveled, the base at least leveled.
Okay.
So there you go, ready to hit. This is the Fruity Pebbles Shatter, brought to you by Rugged Roots. Let's see, Marvin, give us your first take.
Do they come in a larger size?
Like the
Yeah.
thing itself? No, that's your standard size. Yeah, we could call that your standard size. There's only the Peak Pro and then the original Peak, but aside from a few minor adjustments, I want to say they're relatively the same size. So what do you think? How's that hit?
Ooh, that's a smooth hit. You definitely, I don't know, it might just be me. Nah, it can't just be me. I feel like there's a different taste though between compared to the wax.
Really?
Yeah.
And
The wax has a heavier
taste
to it. Yeah, like a
So you're saying like a more concentrated taste?
concentrated
Okay, versus
lingering
like
effect.
like so are you saying if we had a Fruity Pebble
Wax.
you think you would get a more Fruity Pebble flavor, or you're getting more of a concentrate flavor?
I'm getting more of a concentrate flavor.
Gotcha.
Not so much the weed itself, but how it's processed. I'm getting out of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, I'm still new to concentrates, so take this with a grain of salt. But I know there's a, I think it's called like not live resin, but there's something called resin, or the process is different. So this uses a solvent base, whereas there are things called solventless, and those are a little bit more expensive.
Okay.
So the process, there's like a cleanliness to it. And again, I'm butchering this, so don't take this at face value. But there are two different processes where in one you use more chemicals and the other one is a little bit cleaner. And the one that's obviously cleaner is more expensive. And like you said, it seems like in the concentrates that are on the lower end, you can taste that, which I think you were kind of alluding to that you tasted now.
Okay. Okay.
And like I said, I definitely want to bring in our boy Shirok. He's definitely into the dabs, so I'm sure he has a little bit more information.
Right.
So we'll see if we can bring him on the show and actually give us the full rundown of that.
Oh, definitely. That would be cool.
Yeah, for sure. So Marvin, definitely bring up the strain of the day. We have a actual joint that we're gonna smoke. We start with the dabs, but gotta finish off with the joint.
Shout out to Maverick Cannabis. Have they been the dispensary that we've been disappointed in the last couple of weeks, or is that Mayflower?
It's a little mix of both, actually. Last week we smoked a Maverick joint, and you said it was a little tight. But the week before that was a Mayflower joint, and that one was definitely clogged.
Yeah, okay.
So we haven't had much luck with these pre-rolls, and I think that's why you said you never really trust the pre-rolls. You'd rather roll it yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I still stand on that. I would much rather just roll my own.
No, that's fair.
Blunts,
that's
but the pre-rolls are there for a reason. They shut up. They take care of business. Now, like I said, shout out to Maverick Cannabis. We got the Han Solo burger. I've never tried this before.
Have you even heard of it?
I've never even heard of this shit before either. And it's an indica hybrid. Do you happen to know what the cross strain is between the two?
No, I don't. But I will say I've only heard of Han Solo burger from Maverick, so it might have been like the Rocky Dennis from Rugged Roots, where it's just they did their own science and crossbred two different strains, and I guess came up with Han Solo burger.
Okay, all right.
So, like I said, unfortunately, I don't have all the information. I honestly go into dispensaries and just look at the names themselves is what attracts me. So, like you said, you've never heard of Han Solo burger. I haven't either.
Right.
So that's kind of just why
I gotta try.
Yeah, let me get that one.
Okay, that makes sense. How often do you take trips up to Maine?
If I can help it, I try not to go too often. So most of the time, I try and stock up. So I only have to go every 3 or 4 months.
I feel like it's a much more. That's what I'm looking for. Not tedious, but annoying, I can say. Much more, it's a little more annoying to have to take the trip up there in the winter than like in the spring and summertime.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely in the wintertime, I have to plan
it,
accordingly.
yeah.
And even at that, where I'm like, okay, I know next Saturday I'm going to Maine.
That
if
mood.
it's snowing and it's a blizzard, that just throws off the
Shit.
Like I'm not taking the chance. You have to travel. I personally travel like 60 miles, like just straight down the highway. But just imagine that with some slick ice on there. Like I don't want to take that risk. Not with 60 miles to go.
Right, it could be 20 degrees out, and you're just like, oh, it's too cold for this.
Yeah.
It's too cold to make that drive.
For sure.
All right, I feel that.
But spark that shit up, yo.
It's an investment.
Let's see what we got going. Like we said, me and Marvin and I both haven't tried it, so you'll get our first impressions. And while we wait for the effects to kick in, I haven't mentioned this question to Marvin, but I did tell him that earlier this week I took a dab to myself, and then I, as you do, you start coming up with these different thoughts and ideas, and I actually came up with a good question that I felt Marvin is somewhat knowledgeable on the subject. So let me just hit you straight with it. If you had to say right now, what is one conspiracy theory that, if happened to be true, would cause the most uproar? Like, I'll give you an example. For me, when I thought of the question, my answer to it was that the cure to cancer has been found all along and the government had it all along. But they would rather the pharmaceutical money and profits, so they kept it to themselves. I think that would, like, we're busting into the president's house, into the government officials' houses, and taking them for ransom, killing them, because how many people have died, and we've had the cure all along.
Okay.
So something like that, and I feel like a good handful of conspiracy theories.
That would cause outrage.
But do you think that would cause the most outrage? What do you think?
Just one in particular, I can really sit there and say for sure, is if the world had like a definite, like a finite expiration date, and that's the reasoning to why everybody's all of a sudden so fixated on trying to find life in space.
You mean like it was written in history that May 1st, 2525, the world is gonna end?
It didn't even
like that?
Yeah, like it doesn't even have to be written in history. If there's just like there's an understanding that, all right,
on that day,
life on this earth after this certain day is no more, which is the reason, and this is the reason why we're so fixated on trying to discover new planets, why billionaires all of a sudden, all of them are going into space. Like, there's a reasoning.
Oh, okay.
There's a reasoning behind it. It's not just, we're all of a sudden interested in space.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying, like, the fact that all of a sudden all these tycoons have gained this interest in space.
If they all of a sudden discover that, yeah, we can live up there, and they're one of the few that are able to attain that sort of life, and the rest of us are just stuck down here. If we finally came to an understanding that, oh shit, that's what they're trying to do, because this date is when the world's gonna end, but they'll be okay. Oh no, we're all killing each other. Like, we're going.
Oh no, at that point, if that got out into the public, like, fuck all the rules, fuck all the laws. No, it's a free for all. It's a free for all
at that point.
That's scary, and that kind of gets back to our talk from last week about living in a post-apocalyptic world, and whether, like, if they dropped an atomic bomb, would you rather die from the initial blast or try and stick it out in living in a Walking Dead type world minus the zombies?
I'd rather live it out. And I mean, I don't know.
Like I said last week, I think it just take me out. As fucked up as that is, and it might be the easier route. I'm just like, what are you, once the world ends, there's no coming back from it. What are you trying to extend your life for? Like, you're not getting a better quality of life within the next 30, 40 years.
If I can sway both sides. It depends. I'm more on the notion of, if I survive this, I can build something after.
Right. I think you mentioned that last week.
Yeah.
So and it kind of comes back to The Walking Dead, is like they eventually find communities that were able to build from themselves, and
Right.
then the person who kind of started that community is now like the governor
That's
or
what
the
I'm saying. Like,
president. Or,
I could become fucking president or king of my own fucking country, like that type of shit. All because all these motherfuckers died, and I'm the last one standing. Like, I can run with that. I'm
you can go. I'm thinking more of like, if we're living in this post-apocalyptic world, if I do survive and I do continue living, I'm trying to stay away from what fucked up the world in the first part. So I don't need to be the president or the leader or whatever, but that in itself is kind of the problem today. Like socialism, like in the idea of itself of just spreading the wealth among everybody, it's like there's always like, oh well, I did more work than that person, but we're getting paid the same. And it's hard because even in a post-apocalyptic world, I'm thinking that's still embedded in.
It's always going to be a train of thought that there's always going to be that capitalistic mindset that, okay, yeah, that's nice, what you got is nice, what you got is cool, but I still want more. You can still strive for more, you can strive for more, that's perfectly fine, but there's always going to be that one person that wants a little bit more than you, and
it's fucked up that even in a post-apocalyptic world,
that's always going to be the case. I can still share my loaf of bread with you, but I might have 6 more loaves chilling in the back. I don't have to tell you. Like, that's just how it is. Like, that's our mindset, is whether you might think it's good or bad. The reason you can't sit there and sort of capitulate to a socialist sort of mindset is solely due to the fact that we live based off of the dollar. If you took the dollar out, if the dollar didn't matter, then yes, socialism would be perfect. But for socialism to really take full effect, you would have to sit there and say nobody has to work ever again. We as the government is going to supply you with everything you need, and you no longer have to pay for goods anymore. That would have to be the situation, which would never happen. But the ones who are for socialism want to incorporate that. It's not feasible, because if I still have to work for what I'm earning, then no, I'm not going to share that with my neighbor next door who doesn't do anything. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So, but to your original question, anarchy, yeah, as if we discover that the world's going to end, and then we've discovered that we can't live in space, and these billionaires are trying to do that.
That's a good one. I never even thought of that one. Another one I thought of was that aliens had been in contact with us all along, and I guess the government never told us. I thought that would be another one. Like Area 51 actually was like a meeting point between aliens and humans.
Maybe 20 years ago, it would have stirred a little bit more controversy, but at this point, aliens have been a thought that we sort of sit there and think about. So if it came out, and I think there was news like they've put money into like alien exploration, like alien research, all this type of stuff. There's shit hidden, maybe not at Area 51, but in other spots that they haven't let us know about.
Gotcha.
So we sit there and think, yeah, if you told us tomorrow that aliens do exist, we'll be like, oh, see, nigga, we knew it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's not an outrage. It's, see, I told you.
That's a good point. I feel like you said, maybe 20 years ago it'd be different, but now in today's age, like you said, it's just been a reoccurring thought that, at least for me, I can't say I believe in aliens, but I look at it like space is so big.
We can't be we're not the only form of fucking life out here.
Exactly. That's my thought. So you're right. If it turns out aliens were real, I was like, that makes sense.
Like, I attribute, there's got to be some sort of other life form out there, because I don't care how smart we may think we are as humans. For this laptop to appear in front of you, it had to start from something else, and that had to start from something else, and that had to start from something else. Where did the original thought come from? From that one person who just went, I wish I just had some way to write something and save it without having to use pen or paper, that type of shit.
Well,
and then like, how did those ideas go from that to, all right, we have the materials, we have the type of shit that can sort of make your ideas come to life? Where do those come from? Like, how do all of a sudden we have that material to make that shit work? How do you create that type of material from other material to make that shit work? Like,
well, at that point, I just think it was more of like a collection of ideas. Like it started with the light bulb, and then it started with a floppy disk or something. Like it was just a collection of ideas, and each person was just specialized in that idea, so they all just came together.
Until it becomes thrown in front of you, how do you even come up with that idea? Like, how do you even know of it? How do you even know about it?
So how do you get from the light bulb
right
to powering an entire laptop
exactly
with an internal battery just by itself?
Right. Like, how do you go from building a house? Like, I understand that you can go from building a house to building a giant skyscraper type of material. I understand that it can happen. You can do it. But how does that original thought come into mind? This is how it needs to get done. This is how you need to do it. How do we have the type of materials already on Earth to be able to take trips up to space? Like, I feel like that's some sort of shit where when we sit there and talk about other life forms, they dropped on, like, they sort of placed in our world to help us sort of fix the
Wait, so you're saying
accelerate
like,
those thoughts.
So you think aliens
right
came by on Earth and were kind of like, for the discovery of the wheel, they shaped it themselves and just kind of left it out in the field for someone to find, and
the nigga,
that
I think the what
dominoed into everything else.
Right. I think any type of like substantial creation that affects human life was created by an alien, or was like that process has been created by other life forms and sort of given to some sort of you're the puppet. You'll be the dude to get the credit. You'll be the dude to get the heat for it. But
that's scary because now
I don't feel like it's an original thought.
That is scary because now that seems like we're being we're the ants in the ant farm, you know?
Right,
like,
right.
People are watching us and
exactly
amused by how we go about things.
That's how I sit there and think about how all this shit comes about.
That would be scary. That's just a scary thought to, like, if you just look up to the sky and know someone's just zoomed in right in on you.
Like, they can sit there and control everything that goes on in your day. Just a simple, that thought process. Oh, make that happen. Like, I feel like that's how the world sort of runs on a daily. So when you have all these inventions coming out, we just go to start with the iPhone. When the iPhone came out, that's like Steve Jobs gets all the credit in the world for that. But where did that original thought come from? It didn't come from Steve Jobs. It had to come from somebody else. It had to come from something else.
Well, I think for your iPhone example, at least, that is what I was talking about, where it was just a collection of ideas. Like, people have already been making cell phones for so long that he was able to kind of just grasp all those ideas and mold his idea.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I mean it's just a collection of ideas and a collection of just people who have perfected a certain craft.
Okay.
But I think that only works in the sense of the iPhone, because there's an actual path of how you get to the iPhone.
Even with the iPhone, why did it take so long to get to that point? And then once it got to that point, it didn't take long at all for it to get to where the iPhone is now.
That's true, but I mean, that's kind of like for Star Wars, it went 4, 5, 6, and those came out in like the 70s or maybe late 70s. So, what's that guy? George Lucas, he waited until the late 90s to come out with 1, 2, and 3 because of how technology advanced. So it kind of just happened on its own. You hungry? We got a boy in the corner over there.
But I mean, it's some food for thought.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I just don't. I don't think that we as humans are smart enough to come up with the shit that we've come up with. There have to have been other people
help along the way.
Definitely help along the way. Like, if you want to go all the way back to how all the shit was built back in the
like for the pyramids and shit like that.
Yeah, the pyramids, all that kind of stuff. Like, it couldn't have been just hard work. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. It couldn't have been just hard work.
Yeah, hey,
You had to have some sort of magic.
I couldn't explain what else, what it could have been,
moving
but
them around for you. Like there had to have been something. I don't know. You built these giant fucking Stonehenge monolith. Like nah, bro.
Before we get too long-winded, let me ask how the effects of the joint are doing for you, because clearly we got long-winded here and went on a whole tangent spree. But give me your thoughts on it.
I don't know if it's because I'm already high, but it took a while for me to get it to light. But
it was definitely hard to pull too. It was loose at the end. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, it is actually. They skimped you on a couple.
On a 0.2 or 3 there at the end.
Right. But I'm enjoying the smoke. It's a smooth smoke.
It was a hybrid, right?
Hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely. I'm very relaxed, but I can.
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm definitely like our conversation is going. I'm just kind of going in all different directions. I think that's the hybrid sativa part of it.
I was gonna say I'm feeling this more than I'm feeling the rig at the moment.
Yeah.
But the rig, I think, at some point is going to offset. It's gonna offset that sort of smooth feeling I'm having right now.
Gotcha.
At some point, I think.
For an even more relaxed feeling, or like a boost of energy?
No, I think I'm just gonna be more so stuck in my head.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, out of 10, give me your final rating on what is this? Give me your final rating on Han Solo Burger.
Han Solo Burger. I'd give it an 8. No, I'll give it a 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah, I'll give it a 7.5. I'll throw the disclaimer out there that I'm already high before, so it's doing a good job at just keeping me mellow. So if I was sober and I smoked this, I might have been different. So I'll give it a 7 at the moment. 7.5. I'll be generous.
I'm gonna give it a solid, just straight 7.
Solid straight 7. Why?
Why you yelling? Just because, like you said, we were already high, and I think between the first joint, the Peak Pro there, and this joint, the whole thing has me just mellowed out.
Yeah, right.
So I can't say I feel like I can't say the joint itself took me to I don't want to say a higher level, but technically that's what I mean.
No, I feel I get what you're saying.
They all kind of just combined, and I'm literally like at a nice solid just 7 out of 10 mellow high.
My high telepathy feels what you're saying right now. It does. But
you feel me?
I hope y'all feel us on what we were talking about with the whole conspiracy shit.
Yeah, definitely let us know your takes on some conspiracy theories. What do you think would cause the world to break out in outrage?
Oh, and if you want to just keep something quick and simple, keep raising these fucking gas prices. That's going to be the start. Yo,
raising them?
Keep raising them. Once that shit hits $20 a gallon, yo, I might have to kill somebody. Yeah, you can't go nowhere. You really can't.
Well, you're gonna have people calling out of work and being like, "Yo, I can't go to work. My car's got no gas. I can't afford to go to work.
My car ain't got no gas, motherfucker. This shit's no joke."
But yeah, check back next week. We'll see how high gas prices are next week. If they're higher than $6, I'd say we're in some trouble.
We're at $5 right now.
That's what I'm saying. If we're higher than 6, I think we're in some trouble. Because that was quick.
They're projecting
in less than a month. It went up at least like $3 more or less.
They're projecting by June at least $10 a gallon.
I don't know what we're gonna do, guys, but
it's gonna cost you.
Check back next week.
To fill up a tank, it's gonna cost you $150.
So if I can afford to get to Marvin's house next week, catch us next week. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Fuck.